Hello everyone and welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Renee. I'm a mixed media artist and I am so excited because today we've got a special guest with us, Renee Warwick from Renwa's Funky Designs. So hello Renee.
Hi everyone, how's everyone's Friday going?
So Renee has some wonderful things that she's going to show you today. So she has created the amazing birdhouse that we showed you last week. So we might put a pic up later in the chat so you can have a closer look at it. And so today, Renee, what are you going to be showing us?
Well, we're going to do a few special little things. There were lots of questions around what was inside the birdhouse because they couldn't unfortunately see quite inside. So we thought we'd do a secret reveal and show how I decorated the inside of the birdhouse before joining all the pieces together. So we're going to have a little play on composition and designing that layout.
Awesome. So what's on the inside is what we'll be looking at. So that sounds really fabulous. So if you are here, drop us a comment and let us know that you're watching because it's wonderful to see you. Give us a like and tell us where you're from. And Renee, shall we get started and jump in straight away? If you have your Powertex bits, you might like to play along.
That'd be lovely if they played along with us, Ash. And if not, you can always come back later and do that. So I've laid out here some of the birdhouse pieces. So we have the back of the house, the side walls, there's your front, and there's the base. Now I haven't put the roof pieces out because we'll talk about that in another segment. So for now, we're going to work on this actual back here and making it all very beautiful and pretty.
Awesome.
So when we look inside that peephole, there'll be a secret little garden happening inside.
Oh, nice.
So we've picked some special papers out and flowers and stencils, and I think that will help design the whole of the inside and it'll look absolutely fabulous.
Excellent. So did you want to get started? We're going to start with the decoupage.
You certainly will. Okay. So I've selected some papers from a beautiful range here, and this is from Stamperia. It's called Roses and Laces, and inside this book, it's got absolutely beautiful papers. They have lovely fronts and backs, beautiful quality. So what I've done today, I've actually selected, I've torn it out ready. Oh, there we go. I've torn it out ready. I surprised myself. So we're going to use this side here. I thought that would look lovely because we've used such a dark colour for our birdhouse. You want to add some light, and we're talking about bringing contrast now into the birdhouse as well. So I thought, why not, and if we can, somehow incorporate that lovely birdhouse on this paper into the back of the house. And then the other thing that these paper packs have is some other papers that you can fussy cut out. So I've already cut ready for today this lovely little clock because I thought that would go lovely with the birdhouse that we're going to see through the peephole. And thinking along the lines for the outside, to the back, they've got these beautiful tags that you can cut out as well. So again, along in that colour scheme, I've selected this tag here, and then we'll just need to go and fussy cut a little bit more. Now that'll go on the outside of the house, so that's for next week. But I just got that ready today. But you'll see, you know, the fronts and the backs of all these papers are just absolutely beautiful.
I was just going to say that, Renee. The papers are gorgeous. And so, of course, they're available from Bag End Studio and Cobwebs Craft Studio as well. So they're just beautiful Stamperia papers. And I know that Stampers Hut has them too, and Amanda's of Mogo. So all of those people stock Powertex as well.
That's it, our go-to medium, so great. And Powertex goes so beautifully with all your paper supplies because as we know, Powertex will harden your products and also give it that lifelong coating on it too. So, but that's a little bit about the papers. So what I'll do, I'll show you now how we're going to cut and make this fit the back of the bird cage. So with this, we'll move these over just to one side. The first thing we need to do is, so we want this birdhouse just sitting in the background.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it'll sit there like so. So now, one of the main things with these kits to be very careful of is not to paint Powertex on these tabs on the sides, okay? When Charmaine has cut and designed these, they're a beautiful snug fit, so they'll fit all in together. Now, if we go and put too much Powertex over these corner edges, they won't join together. So you can see there we've already treated these pieces with bronze Powertex, and you can see we've gone inside the nooks and crannies there. So we'll also show you how to get that out today. So it's a little bit of delicate work with a bit of a blade, but you can do it, but keep fingers out of the way.
So Renee, I'm going to fess up here, and this was one that I painted. So, I did paint the tabs, and before we sort of realised, you know, what was going on, and that it's better just not to paint those tabs. So there you go, everyone. Don't do what I did. Actually, make sure you leave the tabs unpainted with your Powertex before you put it together.
And Ashley, I'm guilty as well. So I did that to my birdhouse, and I spent many hours getting into all those crevices and making sure that they then fitted together.
So Renee, I'm just wondering who else is going to fess up and say that, yes, they have done the same thing. So I know there's a few people out there that have actually done that. So, yeah.
That's it. It's all right. It's happening to the best of us. So we're all learning. So it's all good. And we're having so much fun doing it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place my paper down. And I'm going to work out now, you can see there's going to be the base of the house that will clip in down here.
Nice.
So the base will clip in. So we don't want to go any further down with our piece of paper. We could, but we can add to there later on or just afterwards with this paper if we choose to do so. But we're going to basically cover this whole back piece. Now, when I did mine inside the house, and again, I've learnt from my creations, and this is what I'm learning from my experience with it. When I looked through the peephole, I only covered from basically the rooftop down. So when you look through, the roof looked very vacant and that didn't work for me. So I'm going to show you, don't do that. Make it all beautiful. Yes, make it all beautiful. So we're going to lay this down over the top. Now, we don't want paper to go we just want it to the actual edge, not out to the edge where the tabs are. Now, there will be some times where you want to hide that, but we can only do that when we're working on the actual outside of it. But for the interior, because we need those joins all to butt up nicely, we need to make sure we keep these tabs all free and clear of the paper as well.
Lovely.
So we're going to place this down. Now, we can place this paper right to the very edge of the paper. And we can see through the peepholes here where the base of the paper edge comes. So we'll place that down. We'll bring that around. And we're just going to bring that to the edge. Oops, just move that a fraction. Now, it does pay to measure twice and check before you start doing your cutting out. So we then just measure our lines here. And we're going on the inside of the tabs, not on the outside here, on the inside.
Lovely. So Renee, if they wanted to use a few different types of paper, with the amount of time that they've got, they could actually
absolutely
decorate it with various papers.
Absolutely. You could do a beautiful collage inside there, even on the outside of the house. Once you learn this technique, just keep trialling all different variations of it.
That's going to look lovely just with that one paper though. And we have got some people watching now. So
hello
welcome everyone. And just let us know where you're from and make sure that you drop your name in the chat as well because we can't see a couple of your names.
So now I'm just, not that with my cutter that I'm about to bring out. I don't really need to do this, but I'm doing this so that you can all see the house there now. So if I put the front across, you'll see as we peek through, we can see a little bit of that birdhouse peeking through. And the other thing I was thinking to build up the composition inside was to possibly add that and some extra flowers along the way as well. So when you look inside, you'll have a beautiful piece it's another piece of artwork to catch your eye as well.
Nice. So you're creating a bit of a focus in there, Renee?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like the hidden treasure.
And look, we're bringing our special cutter here in. Now, many of you, if you're already working with paper crafts, you'll have a cutter of some sort. I like this one because it's nice and compact, and it has a little light.
Ooh.
So when you're lining up your lines, you can actually see through the paper, and you'll see there how well you can actually see your lines. Now, I'm going to cut on the inside of the line that I've made, not the outside, because I want to make sure definitely my papers aren't going to overlap. So I'm just going to...
That's a groovy tool, Renee.
Oh, it certainly is. You know me and my
gadgets.
That's it. So we'll remove
and
that.
We've got Carol on from Ladybird Creations. So, hey, Carol, lovely to see you. And Margaret Orr, so welcome, Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
So make sure if you've got any questions along the way that you drop them in there for Renee, and we will answer them while you're live. So let us know if there's anything you want clarified. But Renee is giving us lots of details here, so it's wonderful.
So you can see how quick and easy that cutter made it. Isn't that lovely, Ash?
It is. It's awesome.
So we've got that. And now what we're going to do, we're going to use our Easy Coat Glossy to actually decoupage that on. So I'll lay that over the top, and you'll see that's a nice snug fit there, and we're not going over any of our edges.
So is there any reason, Renee, why you would use the glossy?
Well, the glossy, if you're going to put lights inside, it just gives a lovely reflection back as well. So, and also long term. So the glossy has a beautiful waterproof ability as well. So if you were going to put it outside or in under your alfresco area, you've definitely made sure it's all weatherproofed.
Fantastic.
Which I thought was a great idea.
But there is matte as well for those people that prefer matte, and I'm a bit of a glossy girl. I know Renee is too, so...
We like our bling. Well, I like my bling.
You also like a bit of grunge, so it's a bit of both,
I do.
right?
There we go. So I took a tiny snip off because I wasn't happy where that was sitting to where our joints will be for the base. So you can always go back in, and that's the really important thing. Don't ever be afraid. It's better to cut just that little bit big than to have it too small.
Okay.
So you can always go back and recut your edges.
Looks beautiful.
It does, doesn't it? So even that on its own is just already dressed it up.
Love the bird cage.
So I'm going to give our Easy Coat Glossy a bit of a shake here. Pop some into our little... Ooh, maybe I should have loosened this up earlier. Sorry, peoples. Okay, so we'll actually
go on to the next.
Okay, while we're loosening that off, what we might do is go on and do some of the easy structure. So on the sides of the birdhouse, on the inside, I've selected two of the Cobweb Craft Studio stencils. So I've got, for the backgrounds on these, your wood grain, and also I thought the leaves coming through. So we're going to do a little bit of wood grain in there on both sides, and then we're going to put a bit of foliage coming through as well. Now remember, the same thing will happen with the easy structure, as we're going to use this on our stencils, is we want to make sure we're not going over these tabs. But if we do, it's okay, because we've got a wet cloth here, and then we'll just quickly wipe away before it dries into any of the gaps and grooves. So what we're going to do now, we're going to mix a little bit of our easy structure. So we've got this here today, and we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to mix pigments into it. So we're not going to use it as the white easy structure. So you can all see that it does come in white if you haven't used this before. Again, this is beautiful to use, and it all washes out in water, but you do need to make sure you wash your stencils, your palette knives and any equipment used by it before it dries. So wash it out in just warm soapy water and it all comes up beautiful. And we're going to use a little palette. So we've just got some lids here that we use as our palettes, and we're going to grab a palette knife.
I love using the easy structure. It just gives you the most awesome texture.
It does.
And I love that it dries so quickly.
So we're going to put some out. We can always get a bit more if we need to. And we'll give that a wipe and a dry, because now what we're going to do, we're going to mix this with some pigments. So in our range with Powertex, we have our power colours. So today I've selected for the leaves some turquoise and the lime green that we're going to mix in.
I know that's one of your favourite combinations, Renee.
It is. And I've got some dark brown, some yellow ochre and also some red ochre. And I thought that might be lovely putting it through the wood stencil. So we'll get a little bit of these pigments out. That's our lime green there. And we'll probably put our, I think, wood down first, and then we'll come back over with our, I'll grab a little bit more of that one, because that's my favourite one, the turquoise. I love the turquoise.
Now, Renee, we have got that Easy Coat Glossy open as well. So if that does happen to any of you, you can just use some warm water just to loosen that lid off. So I quickly whipped out and picked mine up. So we're all set to go when you're ready to go back to the decoupage.
Okay, no worries. Well, we'll do these sides because we've got this out and we don't want the easy structure
awesome
to dry up on us.
I'm so excited.
And don't you love how I use my hand as a... I end up very colourful after I've had a day of craft. Oh dear, much to my husband's dismay.
I love using the pigments with the easy structure like this. It's just so nice because you do get that beautiful instant colour.
And I thought this would just be something a little bit different that, you know, to show you all that you don't necessarily have to use your easy structure and then come back, paint it with Powertex and then go and do your embellishing afterwards. You can actually do it all in a few simple steps here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it might be just something a little bit different and nice for you all to see.
So Renee's just mixing those colours up really well. So some pigments and just to the point where she's really getting a gorgeous colour that she likes. So the great thing with the easy structure, of course, Renee, is that it is actually acting like a white, isn't it?
It is.
So it's lightening those colours up a bit.
And I don't care if it's even a little bit marbled with the colour, so long as the pigment has been mixed into the structure paste well, because the marbling will help. But as you know, foliage is never just one colour. Out in Mother Nature there, she, you know, and shades and light all make a difference too, and variations. So, and that's what I try to...
So now that Renee has revealed this, you'll be able to play to your heart's content. So with mixing the colours and playing with layers. So that's where it becomes a lot of fun, isn't it, Renee?
Oh, it certainly is. One of my favourite bits. And it's worth just putting this little bit of time into getting everything ready. And then once you've got, you know, your mix and everything all ready here, then you can just play to your heart's content with getting it all on.
Beautiful. What's that colour you've got there?
That
Is
one's
the
dark brown.
Yeah, nice. So it's almost like a charcoal grey.
It is,
That's
isn't it?
gorgeous, isn't it? With the easy structure, it's gone that beautiful charcoal. Gorgeous.
No, I'm very happy with that. And then I'll mix up this little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit more here. And we don't need much of the yellow ochre. It's just to give a bit of contrast into your wood. And I may even put a bit of green into the wood stencil as well to give that aged patina look.
So just a little tip for you guys out there, the easy structure does dry very, very quickly. So what you want to do is make sure that you're keeping your container well shut. And after you have opened it, you can even put glad wrap over it and push the air out of it and put the lid back on, and it will last you longer.
That's a great tip there, Ashley. I like that one. Now, we're going to place our stencil down, and like I said, we're going to try very hard not to get in and around our grooves here. I'm going to start with a little bit of yellow coming in.
Renee, I've got to tell you this. Someone said we're double trouble.
Ah, haven't we heard that before?
We've heard that a few times, haven't we?
Yes, we have. All good. It's a lot of fun though. So we'll come back in with a bit of brown, and as you can see here, I'm not going like filling the whole of the stencil up.
Yeah, I love that. So you'll just get partial textures instead of having the whole lot.
So you're trying to get a little bit of colour into each of those areas.
The reason that works so well is because your brain has to fill in the gaps. It likes doing that. So it's more interesting. It's like an unfinished line.
So we can have a little peek there. And yeah, I kind of like what's happened there.
Yeah, lovely.
So
love that. The different tones are gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah, so that'll just add a bit of interest on that side if anyone's peeking inside.
What's the pink colour? Which colour?
That was red ochre.
Oh, that's come up really
Hasn't it?
Gorgeous, hasn't it?
It certainly has. So we'll come and do the other side now.
And so you're going to use the matching colours.
Yeah. So, and
beautiful.
knowing that that will be like the back side wall, and so we'll come back down with our colours again. So we won't come from this corner, we'll come back in from the opposite corner.
Perfect. Loving it, Renee.
Oh, very good. I'm pleased you like it.
How are you guys finding it out there? You loving it? Let Renee know. Give her some love. She's doing an amazing job of this stenciling. I'm loving it.
Thanks, Ashley. And I'm sure once you all have a little play around with all this, you'll have a lot of fun with it as we do too. So you'll see what we're all going, oh, this is great.
Looks awesome.
There we go. And I'll come back in with a tiny bit of...
Just hold it up to the camera so that they can see that, Renee.
Sorry.
Lovely. And we'll hold this other one up as well because that's looking quite amazing. So just, doesn't that look awesome?
Very happy with that.
Nice.
Although I forgot to put a little bit of turquoise.
Sorry, I just thought it would be great for them to see the details. And maybe even hold the palette up as well because the colours you've mixed up on there are just glorious. So this was the turquoise?
Turquoise, light green, lime green, yellow ochre, red ochre, and then this one here that we've used all of it is the dark brown, and that was gorgeous. It looked so smoky. It was beautiful.
Absolutely.
So now we're going to, I'll pass that over to my little assistant over here. So very important, once we've used the structure paste, we get our stencils washed off because as we Ashley explained before, the easy structure dries very quickly. So we want to make sure that we've washed it off all the equipment that we've used because otherwise it does dry very hard on there. Now the other thing I'm going to do here, you can see I've got some into our little holes and crevices there. So I'm going to move that, and I'm going to move that away
Just
from there.
hold it a bit closer to the camera, Renee, so they can see. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, so we'll just remove that from these areas here, so that when we go to do our joins, that's not going to hinder and be in the way of putting our piece together.
Brilliant.
And like I said, this is all come across from learning. And so the same here.
Kathy's just saying that it looks like so much fun.
Oh, good, Kathy. You'll have a ball. There we go.
So, of course, you can do this on any surface, can't you, Renee?
You certainly can.
Even if you're not making something sculptural, you could do it on a painted surface on a canvas. So the sky's the limit with it, really.
Absolutely. This is just one small little way of using it, and then, yeah, go from there. You can use it in your scrapbooking, any of your card making. So
it's brilliant.
The world's your oyster.
Right. Lovely.
Now we'll let that dry.
I'll try not to interrupt again.
That's all good. It's all good. Now
I'm excited.
Still a little bit wet. Okay, we'll let that dry just for a fraction. And what we might do, because I want to come across and use the leaf stencil over the top and put just a little bit of foliage into the piece. But we'll come back and we will just quickly decoupage that paper on now that we have our Easy Coat Glossy ready to use. Sorry for not having that ready earlier. I thought it was all ready to go. Very good. Thank you, Ashley.
It was good, Renee, because we actually got a tip in there about opening our bottles, and because sometimes when the product does stick. Yes, wiping the lid is a good tip, right?
Oh, and aren't we all guilty of not doing that after we use something?
I know I am.
Well, it just goes to show, myself included. Okay, now grab a brush. Now with decoupaging, if you use a nice flat brush, and we've popped the Easy Coat Glossy into just a little container here. Now I'm going to do something, and I'm going to pour this liberally around, because I want a nice thick coating, and I don't want it to dry out as I'm brushing it on. And it does dry out very quickly. I'm trying to make sure I get as close to all those edges as I possibly can. And I don't care that I've put too much on, because the worst thing we can have is it go on and we don't have enough and it's dried as we're doing this. So I don't care that it's a little bit wet, because the paper itself is very absorbent, very thick. It's going to drink up a lot of this. If you were using tissue paper or rice paper, you wouldn't use as thicker amount as what I've just put on. So we're going to pop this on. Now I don't want it going over those little holes down the bottom, but I want it going as close as I possibly can. So we'll line our piece all up. I don't care that it's coming over. Now you can use a shopping card. I've got one of these little squidgy things.
Your gadget brush.
That's it. And starting from the middle and out,
I like
just
that.
as if you were doing like power prints. If you've done any power print classes with Powertex before, you go from the middle out.
And I have, of course, Renee, I've got the new online workshop using the power print. So for those of you who would like to do photo transfers and you're excited about that, that's now available to do as well online.
Oh, very good.
And if you're in Australia, you can get it with a beautiful product bundle as well, which actually includes some Easy Coat Glossy.
There we go. Now, I'll just clean up all my edges there. So just with a damp cloth, just come along. And when we feel it, you'll see that there isn't any air bubbles now in that, which is probably a problem that most of us have had. So you can decoupage any papers. Any papers can go on. It doesn't matter how thick, how thin. It's just the process and making sure.
I've got to tell you, Renee, someone's just commented, use the hubby to open the bottles.
What a great idea. I didn't put him in my bag today, though. I think he thought he had better things to do.
And Robin's on with us here as well. So
hi, Robin.
Yeah.
There we go. So now we're going to go over the top as well and protect the top layer. So we'll just pour a little bit on. We won't do as much as we did before. And we'll just come back on, get to all of our edges, come down.
I love the Easy Coat Glossy. Hasn't that just brought that up beautifully already?
It has. And the beauty of this product, just like our Powertex, it all washes out in nice warm soapy water. So nice and easy to use, very versatile. Okay, and I'll just hold it up to the light and just make sure. Now, I did have a little bit of an air bubble there because the, and some up the top there, just, yeah, because it's still wet underneath, we've put a really liberal layer, we can actually come back with our finger and rub, and you won't remove any of your paper either.
So I noticed, Renee, that you're not going over and over with the glossy. So if you do that, it does tend to go a bit milky, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So it's a quick coat on and then just hold it up into the light like
gorgeous.
Yeah, and make sure that you've just covered all your surface area. If you want to give a second coat, you can come back, but let it dry first. The other thing you can do once it's dry is give it a very soft brush with a very high grade wet and dry sandpaper, and then go back over again with your Easy Coat Glossy. And then that way you won't see your brush marks. So that's just a little tip there as well. But we're just going to leave it at that today.
That looks awesome.
So that's all decoupaged
and so
on.
with your clock layer, you'd let that first layer dry, would you? And then put your clock on?
Yes, yeah. So we'll let that, well, we can actually pop that on. But I'm actually thinking, I didn't bring any though. I'd like to probably place something underneath that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, put some greenery into that.
Lovely. So can maybe do that next week,
We
Renee?
can, and we can even stencil. So, you know, just because that's happened there, we could even come back with a little bit of, we could possibly even do that. I'll see how we go with this first, and we might put a little bit of the greenery because we're going to put some of the greenery on the walls. And if we put a little bit of the greenery coming out with the stencil here, that will help bring our composition together for the inside of the house.
Awesome. Someone's just asking, Renee, can you use a heat gun to dry the products off?
Absolutely, Ashley, yes. Heat guns are a great way to keep moving along with your products. So there's all different types of heat guns on the market. Just make sure you don't put the heat gun too close to your work because your work will bubble up. If that does happen, don't be disheartened. You can just get the Powertex, paint all over the surface again, and it just adds a bit of extra texture into your work, Ashley. So,
Margaret's saying thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, Margaret. Okay, so we'll put a little bit of the greenery in here now.
And we've had comments saying, oh, power print is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. If you can't draw, it's an excellent way of taking a realistic element into your artwork.
And if you love photography or taking photos, because with our social media world out there with Facebook and everything, everybody's taking beautiful photos with their phones. You can use one of those.
Absolutely. Great memories.
They are.
Turn it into artwork.
That's it. Let's hope we haven't left this a little bit too long, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so now we're just coming back with a bit of the greenery.
So if you were doing this, Renee, it would be good to mix the green colours later on after that first layer dries?
Yes,
yep.
yeah.
Perfect.
I was just trying to keep it moving.
That looks gorgeous. I love that lime green and the turquoise together. Such a beautiful combination. And it's going to contrast really nicely with those other colours. Look at that.
So,
hold it up a bit closer.
A bit closer there.
Look at that. That looks amazing.
So if you're looking for this stencil on the website, it's 34B. It's one of Cobweb Craft Studio stencils. So, and these are beautiful stencils to use. So they're easy to clean. They're made out of a different, a heavier duty material, yes, compared to a lot of others that are on the market. So when you go to wash, they wash up really nicely.
And they last a bit longer.
They do, yes. You don't have to be so worried that you're going to break them when you're using them. Now you can see I'm having to press a little bit hard with my structure paste, but that's because it's dried out a little bit while we've been waiting. There we go.
That looks great.
Yeah, so we've just put a tiny bit on there too. And what I might do is just quickly mix up a little bit more, and we'll put a little bit around the birdhouse. And I think that'll bring the composition together nicely.
So when you say that, Renee, for those people who don't know what composition is, what are you talking about there?
Well, I've had to learn this along the way. I used to love getting in there and using absolutely everything and getting it on. And I've since learnt that less is more. So, and what you use on one surface, you try to, if you've got more than one surface there, you try to encompass into other areas of your work so that it all says a story as you're looking at it.
So it's just really just like the arrangement of the shapes in the space that you're working on, which is really cool. I like that, so that it tells a story. And it's important to have those quiet spaces as well so your eye can rest.
That's it.
So, which is what you've done on a lot of your artwork now.
Thank you. Yeah, having a lot of fun.
So has anyone else got any questions for Renee? Let us know. We'll answer them live. And tell us what you're going to be doing with this technique. What are you going to use it on? So a bit of collage or decoupage and stenciling with the coloured pigments. Are you going to do a mixed media canvas? What are you going to do with it? Let us know. We love to hear how we're inspiring you guys to create. That's what we're here for, isn't it, Renee?
It certainly is, yes. And we do love to hear what you've and see what you've done. So share it to the Powertex Australia Creative Hub, and we'd all love to see what you've done.
And of course, if you're in Queensland as well, Bag End Studios has moved to a new location in Yeringa, which is a very cool cultural centre. So get down there and say hey to Natalie and the team. All the artists from down the rabbit hole, many of them are working out of there now. So it's very exciting for that to be happening, and you guys in Queensland can access some wonderful art classes, and a lot of them are done with Powertex, of course, as well, because we all love it.
We certainly do. There we go.
Oh, that looks gorgeous, Renee.
So, and then, you know, once we bring a side into it, you can see how that now all makes it look as part of the story. It's not something that just stands out.
So if they wanted to, they could do the same wallpapered walls?
Absolutely.
What have you done on yours?
Inside mine, like I said, I didn't decoupage to the roof, but I since learned that. So I decoupaged from here down. I had, in the back, I didn't have a clock, I had another piece, and I made a little wreath going around it. So it sat up about so high. I think it was out of a bit of raffia I made it. And then I put a little butterfly in there. So it does look very pretty in there. And then I've put lights all around. Now, the other thing between now and next week is maybe have a look at all your paper flowers. So next week we're going to talk about joining the piece. We will work on the base. I'll show you what we're going to do on the base, and we're going to show you what we're going to do with some moulds. So because I'm thinking I will put my clock here, and then I'll put a couple of moulded pieces. Now I've got this lovely mould here that I love to use, and that's going to have all the, oh, that doesn't show it up very well. Put it on a dark surface, Renee. There we go. And that has beautiful leaves, foliage all there.
Looks great. That's a Stamperia mould, is
It
it?
certainly is. So if anyone's looking for that one, it is K3 PTA 5613. And I do believe Cobwebs have it in stock, and I think Bag End Studio do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I wouldn't be a bit surprised because I'm certain it's part of the Amazonia, so I'm certain Amanda of Mogos will have it as well.
And probably Stamper's Hut too.
Yes, yeah. So it's lovely to mix all your different, so as Ashley knows, I sent her a photo just recently, and my beautiful son put up a pegboard for me in my art room. So I've got 2 walls on my cupboards, and he's put a pegboard up for me on each of them, and I have absolutely filled it with all of Stamperia's moulds and stencils. And that's not all of my moulds. So I love adding those elements in. So I use my stone art clay, and I use, sometimes I'll use resin. So you can see here though, the reason why I like using an air dry clay versus the resin is when I'm going around curved surfaces and the clay is still wet, I can mould it around my edges, I can give it lift and dimension, I can curl my leaves all up. Whereas in the resin, this is using your quick cast resin, they paint up beautifully, they last forever.
Just hold a dark colour behind it. Renee.
I'll do that.
Yep.
Sorry.
Beautiful. That's all right.
Yeah, so that's one of the leaves from that mould. And yeah, so that's in the quick cast resin, and yeah, they last forever. So, and they paint up beautifully. Powertex goes onto it nicely. You need to make sure the whole surface is covered. If you feel that the Powertex is being repelled, quick fix, either paint it with a little bit of gesso or a little, yeah, and then go over it with your Powertex.
Nice.
But once it's got a solid coat of Powertex, then you can use your stone art clay to stick it down with and hold it into position. But it definitely, because you've got a solid, heavy piece, I would definitely recommend, if you're sticking any pieces down, to be using your stone art clay to be doing that with.
Yep, perfect.
Oh, I'll turn that over because that's.
And I love the fact that the stone art clay has dimensions, and it's so instant because you just push it into the mould, pop it straight out and pop it straight onto your piece.
Yes.
That's what I love about it.
So we'll build up some structure and everything and some elements with this next week. So if you have a look into your stash, if you want to be working alongside with us with doing yours, if you've got a birdhouse kit, if not, I think Ashley said where they're available. Did you say?
Yes, the Birdhouse Kit, of course, is available from Powertex Australia, Cobwebs Craft Studio, Bag End Studio, and everywhere that stocks Powertex, basically. So all your trainers would be able to get it in. And if you love this, then ask a trainer near you whether they'll run a birdhouse workshop.
Oh, it would make an amazing class.
It would be.
An amazing class. So for next week, I'll have decorated the roof. So they're our roof pieces, and they go together this way. Maybe not. Is there another piece? Oh, yeah, no, they go into the house there. That's fine. So we'll get our roof pieces done. And then what I'll do on these, I'm going to be using this stencil of Cobweb Craft Studios. So that is 44A. And I think this checkerboard plating will look absolutely awesome on the roof.
Nice.
So I'll do a similar thing with my structure paste. Because like I said, once it's coloured, then it's not a great deal of embellishing that we need to come back afterwards to do.
You could even use the wood grain wood grain stencil again as well, which would look nice because it would tie all the sort of patterning together.
I'm going to use the wood grain stencil on the outside of the house too.
Beautiful.
So I'll have that all done for next week, and we join it together, and you'll see how it's coming along.
So for those of you who would like to play along, make sure that you get your birdhouse kits, and you can get up to speed with what Renee showed you today. And you might even like to try it on something else. I know some of you already have birdhouse kits as well. So get cracking and get up to this point, and you can play along next week.
That'd be great. We look forward to it.
Awesome, Renee. That's awesome. And thank you so much for coming on today. It's been absolutely brilliant having Renee here. And, you know, you've certainly showed us a whole heap of lovely techniques today. So thank you so much for coming in. It's been wonderful to hang out in the studio on cam with you guys as well. So to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us. From Renee and I, we really appreciate you being here. And please drop us any comments, any questions, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So next week, as Renee has said, she will be going into showing you some moulds and a little bit more of building and how she's put the roof and things together. So very, very excited. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. And just remember that if you do want to connect with us, do join the Powertex Australia Creative Hub on Facebook, and you can ask us questions there during the week as well. All right, ciao everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.
See you next week.